Right from the beginning of the unit program, I noticed how the city of Johannesburg was used in more than one way. This can be taken right down to the furniture one uses and how it can serve a multi-purpose. This can all relate back to architecture and how it plays a role in serving the human body. Our class field trip was to document and provide design evidence as to how the spaces are arranged with people in the different contexts we face in our country. This started the journey of being aware of the emergent spatialities and how they operate and what brings them into being. There has been some aspects that stand out for me, such as the way Johannesburg inner city functions. Forces that make up the site can be manipulated and reformed into different structures, policies and agencies that govern parts of the Johannesburg city. Although these structures don't always follow the rules and regulations of the city, they morph with the built environment, causing a shift in the emergent city. There are many layers that make up the Ethiopian Quarter in Johannesburg that I discovered when documenting the city. Even through the shift, hierarchy has remained a crucial part of the whole entity, and what interests me is the way this sector creates policies and structures themselves due to adapting of current demands and trends in the market, and in return transformed the strip into a hub of community life buzzing with color and affability. From the inception of the project, I immediately realized the similarities of the reading in the organization of the bovine trade. It started with no rules or regulations, but it formed its own procedures by the role players that ran this trade. In the readings, there were 5 topics that I drew inspiration from: infrastructure, interdependencies, atmosphere, landscape, and life. The aspects that stood out for me were infrastructure and the interdependencies and how they depend on each other for the bovine trade to fully function. From our unit's lexicon, I chose some cards that I wanted to investigate and explore further. Those were safe passage, street recesses, and internal arcades. The toolkit helped guide the interrogation of how I intended to guide my project. In my proposition collage, I wanted to test the possibilities or challenges that we face in our country in terms of spatial stories from different backgrounds and contexts. The collage started to assist the design of the actual architecture and what I was actually going to do. My next step was representing my ideas into a socio-tectonic diagram, bringing the role players and existing context into a space that can leach onto existing programs. The aspects that I formed the design basis were the Ethiopian restaurant, the butchery, the new bovine trader, various role players, new connections, and additional programs. By combining the social tectonic aspects, I built a narrative for the new form of architecture to thrive in. The image shows the site, which is in an alleyway, and the existing context. A new butchery opens, serving the restaurant and public. A cousin of the butchery owner from the old bovine trade opens a bovine shop to work hand in hand with a butchery. These trades are established over time and they look to expand their businesses. Shops such as wood, charcoal and spice shops open next to the bovine to leech off one another. New openings are pierced into the existing building to start connecting the new to the old. A while goes by and these businesses start doing well. The space left over in the middle of the alley can now be opened to form the internal public street. These activities extend to the gaps between buildings, setbacks, courtyards, and side streets. Usage of these spaces range from food places and coffee shops to site for trade and retail, including bars and restaurants. Being off the main channels of traffic, they operate as hubs for competing interests and claims to space. Passageways, back alleys, side streets, and in-between spaces as an alternative framework for the development and revitalization. Once the ground floor is operational, verticality is the way to fill the void. Vertical streets can start to be puncture into existing buildings and connect the ground floor public and existing buildings vertically. The idea of the new architecture is to create a space through voids instead of a conventional roof and walls. The image shows the intended atmosphere and intended use when fully operational, and that I would like to interrogate in the coming semester is how a space like this can wrap around or spill onto the street edges in terms of facade treatment and relation to the street edge. How can new infrastructure still accommodate public demands? How one deals with new meeting existing built form and access or street edges are some of the questions for basis to carry on with.